So this is a lot more faces than I'm used to seeing at full indies. So
Closer to the mic.
Hello? Nope, there we go.
Much better.
I'll just do it like this. All right, so we are going to do the 1 hour asset in 10 minutes. So as a disclaimer here, the following information is aimed for game jams. If you are doing this for a published or shipped title, you'll probably hate me for this. So take everything with a grain of salt here. This is for fast, fun, and flashy with an emphasis on fast, because when you got a 2-day game jam and you got to get a bunch of assets out, this is a great little pipeline to do it. And it's a good thing to remember, game jams are a safe space. That means you have the freedom to fail. That means you can do risky, silly, and subversive artistic pieces. And that's kind of what this is aiming for. This is not great production, but this lets you get some fun stuff out. So if the idea sticks, you can always polish it later. So who am I? I am Doug Adair. I usually go under the moniker Polygeddon, and I work as an environment artist for a super cool company, but I'm still under NDA. So remember, wear lots of hats as an indie, and there's some work out there. I normally worked as a spatial technologist for many years, so if you have some questions and you're in a bit of a pinch right now, there are a lot of parallel industries that are hiring that still let you keep your skills and work relative. So something to consider. So why are we doing the talk? Global Game Jam is in 2 weeks. Who's all participating? Woo, come on, yeah, we need more people in that. It's pretty exciting, especially since we have the local Douglas College there, so you can actually do it in person, which is pretty darn awesome. Game jams are a great way to learn with a team. That's another very critical skill. I know a lot of us do solo dev work, but honestly, nothing is better than a team for getting something done a lot bigger. Also, I know everyone uses asset packs. If you can get a chance to do your own art, it's such a way to stand out at game jams. So that's kind of what this is for, just a quick way to get stuff that stands out there. And of course, simple pipelines make fast results. I was at the Quiver Games Game Jam, and that's why this little talk's happening. People are like, Doug, how in the heck did you make a bunch of spaceships so fast? So that's what this is. This is how you can make a spaceship in an hour that looks kind of fancy. So how do we get from here to here? This is me not speaking. So jam out some concept art. Use some Blender to quickly block out that concept art. Lots of fun, look at all that. We're already at half an hour, boy, time flies. And of course, the bulk of that is going to be, oh, now we're in ZBrush. Oh, look at this, ooh, all those little details. Gotta love those high poly sculpts being just slammed out nice and quickly there. Oh, we're at 50 minutes already. Geez, that's almost an hour, it's up already. Geez, so what's the secret sauce that we have in a couple minutes? Oh, substance, oh, you're so fun and easy. Bam, there we go, this spaceship. But you kind of get the feel there, slam stuff out and have fun. This is not something I put in a shipped title, but boy, for game jams, you can do some stuff pretty fast. Learning the lessons with the tablet here. So what was that? Speed modeling. I have a bit of a previs background for virtual production, but also for games is really great. What's happening now is games and cinematics are kind of merging together. Both Unity and Unreal Engine are really pushing the virtual production and animation workflows, which means now directors and leads are a lot more cranky with you when you're doing walkout. No, I don't want a cube. I want that to be a tree. I want that to be a rock. I want to actually have previs. So it's getting really, really hard now that people aren't so forgiving for all your level work. So what is it? Speed is the name of the game. Learn how to put out something that's a happy medium between a big cube and a fully finished asset. And that comes down to templates, tools, and pipelines. So software, of course, I'm going to be plugging Blender on this one because it's free. Excuse me. And free is absolutely wonderful, but as you saw in that video, I am using other software. You can do everything in Blender, just I'm a little bit fuddy-duddy on it. I never started using Blender until 2.8, coming over from Maya. There is a lot in Blender. So if you want to stick within it, awesome. But I do recommend, if you have other software under your belt, utilize it because it is a bit more efficient than Blender at the end of the day. And of course, don't be afraid to explore all the other awesome free software out there like GIMP. GIMP is great. Don't bother with Photoshop, use GIMP, but I'm using Photoshop for this, so bear with me. All right, so concept art. Concept art is about time at a game jam. That means you got a short game jam, which means you should be spending more time on in-game content than all your outside of content. That means shape and silhouette is the main focus. You want the player to know what you made, what it is. A tree should not look like mashed potatoes. A tree should look like what everyone thinks the silhouette of a tree should look like. So if you are a concept artist, get used to communicating in more shape and silhouette and actually writing down what you're talking about. I want this to be a purple tree with, alien tentacles on it. You don't have to draw all that out, but you can silhouette it, get it out there, get the asset artist producing. That way you're making your indie game a lot faster that way. Don't get lost in all the, pre-idea stuff. So right from the get-go, this is one that's knocked me out a few game jams. Scale. Establish your scale right off the bat. The programmers need to know the scale, the concept artists, the asset artists, the VFX. Everyone needs to know scale. Get that established. And of course, Blender's super awesome. You can bring in images as planes. Boom, I have my little mannequin standing in a cube. Now it's sizing out for the window. And then the final and most critical part of all this is subdivision and mirroring, especially for spaceships, but for trees and rocks and everything else, subdivision modeling lets you cheat. So to set that up, Maya has it built in, but Blender, you can fine tune that. And by doing a double subdivision, you can actually get some pretty cool effects. Now, does that come at a cost? Yes, it does. You can see a single subdivision is a log. The subdivision I'm using, which is only 2 and 2, we go from 12 triangles to 3,000 triangles. That is not game friendly at all in the slightest, but we'll go through how to resolve that in a little bit. So we're going to skip through some of this. So take your concept art. Blender's super awesome for this. You can literally just sit there extruding, pulling, shaping, putting together ship. Vertex modeling is great. You can shift it, make complex shapes. But this is really simple modeling. This goes through very, very quickly. Your simple blocks turned into a spaceship. One of the things I have, don't use Boolean modeling with subdivision modeling. It really messes up. Blender has a great tool called Bridge. Punch through poly to poly. That is the best way to do stuff. So now we have a beautiful non-manifold spaceship that's probably 500,000 triangles, absolute garbage. Blender can do a whole bunch of sculpting stuff, but for this we're going to use ZBrush because it uses this much better. Thankfully there's a wonderful bridge there, nice and quick. We Dynamesh, now it's manifold because it's voxel based, so it's now taken all that mess, turned it into a single voxel mesh. We define colors through vertex color, which will come in very useful in a short minute. And of course those vertex colors can be carried over through all your trim brushing details. So by defining color in a high poly model and masking and all sorts of details done in just minutes, we now have a chance to take this high poly, we first down-res it, then decimate it to give ourselves a low poly model, which surprisingly, using Decimation Master in ZBrush, gives you something around 1,000 tri from a high poly, which is awfully good for a game jam. So, as you can see, by using that methodology of a down-res and then decimation, you end up with a very close model. Can you basically retopo? Yes, but yeah. So we pop that over to Blender for a quick repack on UV. Nice and dirty, that is not good repack. We check our textile density. Nice and simple using Blender for that too. We pop it over to Substance, which gives our low poly, our bake, our high poly. By doing that, we bring all our details over to a very low poly model, as you can see there. We take our color IDs. We can basically use that to set up a whole bunch of different skins. Or, as you can see, that define base materials on those color IDs. Slap in good old Substance cheat mode here with a smart material. Bam, we got instant ships again. If you're working on a game, you can keep your colors consistent. And whammo bammo, we have consistent work between everything and end up with our final result again. So that is that. Are there any questions?
First one, have you used Vision 360 or other CAD programs for your 3D modeling?
Yes, I have. SolidWorks is absolutely amazing. Parametric is great, especially for hard surface, but it is considerably longer than doing polygon subdivision modeling by a long shot.
Basic question. So, what is the difference between this method and the proper method of it? Remember you're saying...
Time. This was done in an hour.
Yeah.
If you're doing a low poly game, this doesn't apply. The whole point is if you're looking for fast and flashy that has high resolution, high fidelity, you know, especially if you're using Unreal Engine where you can cheat a bit with nanite so you don't need to bake a whole bunch of LOD stuff, that's what this method is for. And when we used it at the last game jam, that's what people were asking. How did you guys get so many assets done so quickly? This methodology specifically. So this was for the people who asked more than anything.
Yeah.
And put it together.
All right.
But yeah, I would love to do a low poly one because there's so many tricks to doing like 64 by 64 textures and not all this nonsense. So.
If you had more time, would you still choose ZBrush or Blender?
I'm only using ZBrush because I know ZBrush a lot better than I know the Blender. Blender can do this all, absolutely. Just, I find it very clunky because I don't know it as well. So for this, I'm showing exactly what I did at the game jam as opposed to doing it all in Blender. But yes, Blender can do all of this. Just I'm not as experienced with that. Sorry. Any other questions?
Do you personally prefer Photoshop or GIMP?
Don't hate me, I have Adobe Creative, so yes, I pay for everything still. Do I recommend GIMP? Yes, absolutely, I recommend GIMP. I have a lot of, you know, people I know who use GIMP. Just, I've been doing this for too long and I'm old and stuck in my ways, so.
When you were showing like the 2D images, like you would have one perspective, I assume you're not doing others.
I don't. So, no, again with the game jam, if you're stuck there that you need to get stuff out fast, a lot of 3D artists, what you're communicating is a silhouette of something, right? That shift from that one angle was enough information for me just to widen it up. Absolutely, you could do another angle, just I was trying to keep this under an hour. So, absolutely, you could do more angles, but my 2D communication isn't as great. So.
If you were doing this asset professionally, how long would you say it would take?
If I was to do this show, probably 2 weeks. Just to be fair, because you're going to be retopologizing everything, you're going to be making sure that you have a lot more going on with it. But that's the whole point, is this was done in an hour, and it's passable for a game jam at a higher level. That's kind of what this is. People are saying there, how did you get this? Well, let's be honest, Substance Painter using smart materials with color ID maps, you can get amazing results in minutes kind of thing. So that's what this is showing as a pipeline. But honestly, again, if you're shipping something, you're going to want a lot better optimization and topology on 3D. Any other questions? No?
The way after you finish ZBrushing and then UV mapping, that seems very fast. How do you make it that fast?
Blender has cheat mode. It just takes it by angles and puts it. There's also a great program called UV Packer, which is free. So you can take that awful unwrap and jam it all together as tight as possible to make it look good. Any other questions? Oh.
For those just starting out with 3D modeling, do you have any like tips or tricks or places that you recommend you go to learn 3D modeling like Blender?
YouTube donut tutorial. Absolutely. It is actually a legitimately great tutorial for people starting off. At some other places I've worked, that's what I've always given to new people learning Blender, and they usually end up way better than me. So definitely donut tutorial. No more questions?